Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about a really great day from my childhood. This day happened after the end of my first year of school during the summer holidays. On one day during summer, I was unsure what to do. Should I stay inside and watch TV or play games? Or should I go outside? I decided to go outside and went for a walk in our village. A bit later, I stopped at the playground and went inside, but not to play. Instead, I climbed up on the tree and simply chilled. While sitting there, I thought about many different things. I thought about games, about my friends, about my second year of school that will start soon, and many more things. At some point, I saw a family walking to the playground. They looked at it for a bit and went inside. There was a mom, a dad, two daughters, and a son. The parents sat down on the benches, which were right below my tree. I sat 3 or 4 meters above the mom. The mom looked at her kids and talked with her husband, and her husband read some newspaper. The girls immediately walked to the swing and swung for a bit. Their younger brother sat down in the sandbox and moved some sand around. When I saw this, I was really unsure if I should tell them that they shouldn't play in the sandbox, because many people let their dogs piss and shit inside it. But from the tree, I couldn't really see if there was shit or not. A few minutes later, the boy walked to his parents, and shortly after, the girls also walked to their parents. I couldn't understand what they talked about, but then their mom pointed at this little wood house that we had on the playground. Normally it was made for playing, but most people used it as a toilet, and they did the same. The girls helped their younger brother pee, and then they also peed inside it. Then they played with their brother on the slide for a bit, and a bit later, their brother walked to his parents and sat down on his dad's lap. In the center of the playground where the slide was, you had a few different ways to climb up. It was really great. The girls walked around, and then they tried to climb up on the other side of it. A bit later, the girls walked to their parents, and her mom pulled out some plastic cups and something to drink, and they drank a bit. After that, they went around the playground. At some point, I saw one leaf falling down, and it landed near their mom on the table. She noticed the leaf, looked at it, and then she looked up. And when she saw me, she looked very confused. I said hey, and she smiled and waved her hand at me. A bit later, the girls walked to my tree, but they didn't look up. Instead, they asked their mom if they can climb up, and she said sure, but be careful. When the girls started to climb up, I was really unsure if I should say something or not. What if they see me and get scared and fall down? The good thing was, this was one of the best trees to climb up. You had many different spots to grab, stand, and also sit. I watched them climbing up, and when the first girl was right in front of me, she looked up and stopped. Then her sister reached her, and because she couldn't climb up higher, she also looked up, and then she also saw me. They both stared at me for a few seconds, and then I saw that they are twins. Their faces were nearly the same. I smiled at them, and then the first girl said, "There's a boy." When I heard that, I was really unsure what to think and what to say, so I simply said hey, and said that they can sit here and there, and moved my hand to her to help her climb up. She grabbed my hand, and I helped her up to the sit spot, and then I helped her other sister. I told them where they can grab the tree, so that they can sit in a safe way. I told them my name, and they told me their names. In the beginning, they simply stared at me and whispered stuff to each other. I waited for them to talk, and simply looked around. The second girl had slightly bigger cheeks than her sister, and her hair was also more curly. The first girl had really straight hair, but they both had really long hair, and their hair color was a really light blonde. I was still unsure what I should say, and waited a bit, but after more whispering, they asked me why I was sitting here and where I come from and so. We talked for a bit, and I also made them laugh a few times. While we talked, they still whispered to each other, but I couldn't understand everything. But at some point, the first girl said, "You're not mean at all." And when I heard that, I was unsure what she meant. And when I asked her, she said that all of the boys they met were really mean to them. I asked where they met them, and she said on other playgrounds. When she said that, I immediately thought about the idiots from my kindergarten and school time. I agreed and said yeah, I also met many idiots. They both told me what the evil boys did to them, which was mainly insulting, pushing them away from the slides and off the swings, punching, spitting and pulling on their hair, and I said that many did the same to me. They whispered again, and then the first girl said, "You have longer hair than the boys, but you're not a girl, but you're also not mean like the boys." At that time, my hair wasn't that long. It was long enough to cover my ears, but I would still say that it counted as short hair. I said that I'm a boy, and that nice boys also exist. They talked a bit more like this, trying to figure out this mystery, and at some point I said, "Your brother's also a boy. Would you say that he's bad?" And they said, "No, he's nice. We play a lot with him." And then I said, "Your dad is also a boy, just an older boy, a man. Is he bad?" And they said, "No, we love our dad." They both looked really confused at me, but I understood it. They were both really young, and all the boys they met on other playgrounds were bad. During this talk, I said that I have many bad boys on my school, but there are also many bad girls. They also insult others and so, and then they looked even more confused. But then they asked me about how it is to go to school, and I said that some stuff is good, but some stuff is bad. Many teachers are bad, and the older ones are also often really bad to us. Then they asked me how old I am, and I said I'm 7, and they said that they are 4. They still looked at their mom, but she agreed. And then they asked me if I'm older than them, and I said yes. And then they said, "You're not mean, but you are older." And I said that not everyone is mean, but many people are. After a bit more talking, the other girl lost her balance, and I quickly moved forward to grab her arm. She didn't fall down, but even though I said that I can hold her hand, they both got scared to fall down, and then they wanted to climb down again. I helped them, and they walked to their mom and whispered to her, while I was standing 3 meters away and waited. Then they walked to me and wanted to play. We climbed a bit on the middle part of the playground, and also slid down a few times. A bit later, they walked to their mom, and then her mom said that I can also drink some, and I did. Their mom asked me where I come from, and I said that I live only a few minutes away from here. I asked where they come from, and the mom pointed to the right and said that they live somewhere in this direction. They just moved here. here, and since it was a sunny day, they tried to find a playground. I said that this playground here is great, and at some point during this talk, the mom said that they are still looking for a kindergarten. I said that one kindergarten is only 2 minutes in this direction, and that I also went there. We talked a bit more, and then the girls took their brother and wanted me to play with them too. We walked to the sandbox, and I said that they should avoid this half of it, because it's more dirty. But since there were no shovels or so, we couldn't do much in the sand, so I mostly simply slid down with him, while also trying to slide down fast. He never talked, but I saw him smiling here and there. A bit later, he walked back to his parents and sat down on his dad's lap again. But the girls wanted to keep playing. We thought what we could do, and after some thinking, they wanted to play catch, which wouldn't really work, mainly because I was a bit older and also way faster. So instead, we played catch, but I was only allowed to run backwards. They still couldn't catch me, but we went around the playground a few times and they still had fun running around. While running, one of them also fell down, but nothing bad happened. At some point, they were both a bit exhausted and needed a break, so we slowly walked around and talked. And a bit later, they asked me what this thing here is, and I said that this is a ping pong table. I explained them how to play it, but since we didn't have ping pong bats or a ball, we couldn't play. But instead, they wanted to climb up onto it, but it was too high for them. I helped them up and also jumped up. And then there was this. According to my translator, it's either dare or test of courage. It was about jumping down from the ping pong table. Of course I didn't have any problems with it, and simply jumped down. They were both a bit scared, but they both also did it and liked it. We sat down near the ping pong table and kept talking for a while. They asked me different things. About my school, about my kindergarten, about me, about animals, and so much more. I also still tried to make them laugh, and it worked. At some point, I noticed that the first girl had some dirt between her right ear and nose. I said that she should stop moving, because there's something on her face. She asked her sister if it's true, and she agreed. When she looked at me again, I slowly moved my hand to her face, and when I wiped the dirt away, she looked at me with really big eyes. I guess she really didn't expect me to do something like that, but it was fine for her. After more talking, she noticed something on her neck, but I couldn't see it, and then her sister said that it's a spider, and they both jumped up and checked around. We looked at each other's neck and hair, but we couldn't see anything there, and kept talking. At some point, their mom called them, and said that it's time to go home now. I walked with them to their family, and their mom asked me about where the kindergarten is. I answered, and she said that she will check it out. And I said that, if they would go there, then we can see each other here and there and maybe play more. Their mom asked me about my house again, and I answered. They packed their stuff and walked to the gate. We sat by and waved our hands. Then the girls talked with their mom, but I couldn't hear what they say. But then they both walked to me, and they both kissed me on my cheeks at the same time, left and said bye. I also said bye and watched them walk away. For me this was a really great day. We had a lot of fun, but something sad that I also need to say is that I never saw them again. If they would have gone to this kindergarten, I would have known it, but I never saw this family again. Maybe they moved again, who knows. But it was still a really great day. Sometime later, I also saw another pair of twins, but I will talk about them in a different video. Have a good day.